Today we are going to discuss Canto 4, 17, Mahārāja Pṛthu becomes angry at the earth. Let me share my screen. So, discussing little background for this chapter. So far, we have discussed like before King Pṛthu came, there was another king named Vena, and he was very merciless, cruel, and severe, who was doing all kinds of abominable things. So he was put into possession as his father, Anga. He left the kingdom because Vena was such a bad son. As soon as King Anga left, the citizens, they didn't want to put Vena in his place because he was so cruel and so merciless, but there was no one else to protect the kingdom. So they had to install Vena on the throne. So he was so bad that all the rogues and thieves, they went underground, they ran away. But then he started to become horrible to citizens in general as well. So Brahmanas, they tried to correct him in a very nice and polite way. But Vena, he not only insulted them, he also insulted the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Brahmanas, they chanted some mantras and killed him. And then sooner, rogues and thieves, they again started to come. So Brahmanas, they realized that they need a king for citizens and to protect everyone. So the Brahmanas, they churned the body of King Vena, and from his two arms came out a male and a female. They were named Pṛthu and Archi. So Pṛthu Maharaj, he was plenary expansion of Lord Vishnu, and Archi was the plenary expansion of Goddess of Fortune. So as soon as they appeared, demigods began to offer them all sorts of different weapons, gifts, prayers, and praises. So this is what we have read so far. So we are going to start with chapter 17 today. So this chapter has 36 verses. So we can go 10 verse, 3 person, and last person can read the 6 verses. We'll go the usual way. So devotees can raise their hands to read. Yes, Anishika Mataji. Thank you.
Hari bol. Just a second, yeah. Text 1. The great sage Maitreya continued. In this way, the reciters who were glorifying Maharaj Pṛthu readily described his qualities and chivalrous activities. At the end, Maharaj Pṛthu offered them various presentations with all due respect and worshipped them adequately. King Pṛthu thus satisfied and offered all respect to all the leaders of the Brahmanas and other castes, to his servants, to his ministers, and to the priests, citizens, general countrymen, people from other communities, admirers, and others, and thus they all became happy. Vidura inquired from the great sage Maitreya, "My dear Brahmana, since Mother Earth can appear in different shapes, why did she take the shape of a cow? And when King Pṛthu milked her, who became the calf? And what was the milking pot? The other surface of the earth is by nature low in some places and high in others. How did King Pṛthu level the surface of the earth, and why did the king of heaven Indra steal the horse meant for the sacrifice? The great saintly king Maharaj Pṛthu received knowledge from Sanat Kumar, who was the greatest Vedic scholar. After receiving knowledge to be applied practically in his life, how did the saintly king attain his desired destination? Pṛthu Maharaj was a powerful incarnation of Lord Krishna's potencies. Consequently, any narration concerning his activities is surely very pleasing to hear, and it produces all good fortune. As far as I am concerned, I am always your devotee as well as a devotee of the Lord who is known as Adhokshaja. Please therefore narrate all the stories of King Pṛthu, who, in the form of the son of King Vena, milled the cow shaped earth. Suda Goswami continued, when Vidura became inspired to hear of the activities of Lord Krishna in his various incarnations, Maitreya, also being inspired and being very pleased with Vidura, began to praise him. Then Maitreya spoke as follows. The great sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, at the time at the time King Pṛthu was enthroned by the great sages and Brahmanas and declared to be the protector of the citizens, there was a scarcity of food grains. The citizens actually became skinny due to starvation. Therefore, they came before the king and informed him of their real situation. Dear king, just as a tree with a fire burning in the hollow of the trunk gradually dries up, we are drying up due to the fire of hunger in our stomachs. You are the protector of surrendered souls, and you have been appointed to give employment to us. Therefore, we have all come to you for protection. You are not only a king, but the incarnation of God as well. Indeed, you are the king of all kings. You can give us all kinds of occupational engagements, for you are the master of our livelihood. Therefore, O King of all kings, please arrange to satisfy our hunger by the proper distribution of food grains. Please take care of us, lest we soon die for want of food. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Madhavi. Vishal Prakash Prabhu.
After hearing this lamentation and seeing the pitiable condition of the citizens, King Pṛthu contemplated this matter for a long time to see if he could find out the underlying causes. Having arrived at a conclusion, the king took up his bow and arrow and aimed them at the earth, exactly like Lord Shiva, who destroyed the whole world out of anger. When the earth saw that King Pṛthu was taking his bow and arrow to kill her, she became very much afraid and began to tremble. She then began to flee, exactly like a deer, which runs very swiftly when followed by a hunter. Being afraid of King Pṛthu, she took the shape of a cow and began to run. Seeing this, Mahārāja Pṛthu became very angry, and his eyes became as red as the early morning sun. Placing an arrow on his bow, he chased the cow-shaped earth wherever she would run. The cow-shaped earth ran here and there in outer space, between the heavenly planets and the earth, and wherever she ran, the king chased her with his bow and arrows. Just as a man cannot escape the cruel hands of death, the cow-shaped earth could not escape the hands of the son of Vena. At length, the earth, fearful, her heart aggrieved, turned back in helplessness. Addressing the great opulent King Pṛthu as a knower of religious principles and shelter of the surrendered, she said, please save me. You are the protector of all living entities. Now you are situated as the king of this planet. The cow-shaped earth continued to appeal to the king. I am very poor and have not committed any sinful activities. I do not know why you want to kill me. Since you are supposed to be the knower of all religious principles, Why are you so envious of me? And why are you so anxious to kill a woman? Even if a woman does commit some sinful activity, no one should place his hand upon her. And what to speak of you, dear king, who are so merciful. You are a protector, and you are affectionate to the poor.
Thank you, Prabhu. The cow-shaped earth continued. My dear king, I'm just like a strong boat, and all the paraphernalia of the world is standing upon me. If you break me to pieces, how can you protect yourself and your subjects from drowning? King Pṛthu replied to the earthly planet, My dear earth, you have disobeyed my orders and rulings. In the form of a demigod, you accepted your share of the yagnas we performed, but in return you have not produced sufficient food grains. For this reason, I must kill you. Although you are eating green grass every day, you are not filling your milk bag so we can utilize your milk. Since you are willfully committing offenses, it cannot be said that you are not punishable due to your assuming the form of a cow. You have so lost your intelligence that despite my orders, you do not deliver the seeds of herbs and grains formerly created by Brahma and now hidden within yourself. Now, with the help of my arrows, I shall cut you to pieces, and with your flesh satisfy the hunger-stricken citizens who are now crying for want of grains. Thus, I shall satisfy the crying citizens of my kingdom. Any cruel person, be he a man, woman, or important eunuch, who is only interested in his personal maintenance and has no compassion for other living entities, may be killed by the king. Such killing can never be considered actual killing. You are very much puffed up with pride and have become almost insane. Presently, you have assumed the form of a cow by your mystic powers. Nonetheless, I shall cut you into small pieces like grain, and I will uphold the entire population by my personal mystic powers. At this time, Pṛthu Maharaj became exactly like Yamraj, and his whole body appeared very angry. In other words, he was anger personified. After hearing him, the planet Earth began to tremble. She surrendered and with folded hands began to speak as follows. The planet Earth spoke, My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are transcendental in your position, and by your material energy, you have expanded yourself in various forms and species of life through the interaction of the three modes of material nature. Unlike some other masters, you always remain in your transcendental position and are not affected by the material creation, which is subject to different material interactions. Consequently, you are not bewildered by material activities. The planet Earth continued, My dear Lord, you are the complete conductor of the material creation. You have created this cosmic manifestation and the three material qualities, and therefore you have created me, the planet Earth, the resting place of all living entities. Yet you are always fully independent, my lord. Now that you are present before me and ready to kill me with your weapons, let me know where I should go to take shelter and tell me who can give me protection. In the beginning of creation, you created all these moving and non moving living entities by your inconceivable energy. Through this very same energy, you are now prepared to protect the living entities. Indeed, you are the supreme protector of religious principles. Why are you so anxious to kill me, even though I am in the form of a cow? My dear Lord, although you are one, by your inconceivable potencies, you have expanded yourself in many forms. Through the agency of Brahma, you have created this universe. You are therefore directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are not sufficiently experienced cannot understand your transcendental activities because these persons are covered by your illusory energy. My dear Lord, by your own potencies, you are the original cause of the material elements, the performing instruments, the senses, the workers of the senses, the controlling demigods. the intelligence and the ego, as well as everything else. By your energy, you manifest this entire cosmic creation, maintaining it and maintain it and dissolve it. Through your energy alone, everything is sometimes manifest and sometimes not manifest. You are therefore the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. My dear Lord, you are always unborn. Once in the form of the original boar, you rescued me from the waters in the bottom of the universe. Through your own energy, you created all the physical elements, the senses, and the heart for the maintenance of the world. My dear Lord, in this way, you once protected me by rescuing me from the water, and consequently, your name has been formed as Dharadhar, he who holds the planet Earth. Yet, at the present moment, in the form of a great hero, you are about to kill me with sharpened arrows. I am, however, just like a boat on the water, keeping everything afloat. My dear Lord, I am also the creation of one of your energies, composed of the three modes of material nature. Consequently, I am bewildered by your activities. Even the activities of your devotee cannot be understood, and what to speak of your pastimes. Thus, everything appears to us to be contradictory and wonderful. Hare Krishna. Starting with the discussion of this pastime, so as we have discussed, like we have seen this picture in past in one of the Gaurakumar Prabhu's lecture. So here, these are the 4 different layers of conversations in Srimad Bhagavatam. The first starting with Srila Vyasdev, and then Sutta Goswami and sages, then the Shukadev Goswami and Mahārāja Parikshit, and within that there are several conversations that are going on. So right now we are in this layer, which is shown by yellow, and within this layer there is another layer where Vidura and the sage Maitreya, they are having a conversation. So we are discussing about this in this chapter. So this was the brief introduction or recap which we have already discussed, like how Pṛthu Mahārāja came from the arm of King Vena and how he was praised by all the demigods and he was gifted different weapons and different gifts. So Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, he has briefly introduced like how Pṛthu Mahārāja is a Shakti Avesh avatar. So Shakti Avesh, talking a little bit more about it, like just going through it again. So there are 6 avatars. There is Leela avatar. So, or these are also called the Kalpa avatars. These are generally, they descend once in one day of Brahma and they perform various pastimes. Therefore, they are also called Kalpa avataras. The examples are Vamandev, Varahadev, Matsya Kurma. Then there are Purusha avatars. So these are the Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. The Guna avatars, these are based on the 3 modes of material nature. So Lord Brahma, he is in charge of mode of passion because he's involved in creating the universe. Lord Shiva is in charge of mode of ignorance because the destruction, it requires the tamogun. And Lord Vishnu, he is in charge of mode of goodness because the most difficult task is to maintain something and that requires mode of goodness. So Lord Vishnu appears to do that as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Then before Shaktavesh, then there are Manvantra avatars. So Manvantra is every day of Brahma. It is divided into time duration. Those are called Manvantras. And in each of these time periods, there is a personality called Manu, who is overall in charge, and the word Manu comes into the words like the words man or Manushya. They come from the word Manu. So there are 14 Manus, and overall they see the functions of the universe. And currently we are in the 7th Manu, which is called by Vatsvata Manu. And during every Manvantra, there is one incarnation of the Lord who is called Manvantra incarnation. So in this Manvantra, Vamandev is the Manvantra incarnation. Then there are the Shakti Avesh avatars. Oh yeah, the Yuga Avtaras that I didn't discuss. So the Yuga Avtaras, in every age, the Supreme Lord appears to establish and propagate the dharma of that age. These are the dharma Avtaras as well, the Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali Yuga. And then the Shaktya Vesh Avtara. So Shaktya Vesh. So Shakti means power, energy or potency. Avesh means entering into or to be endowed with. And Avatar means one who descends into the material world from the spiritual world. So these avatars, they are empowered with a specific type of potency to perform a specific type of job. So Krishna has many purposes to fulfill within this material world, and to do so, he empowers suitable personalities to do that. So these are of two types. They can be direct incarnations or the Sakshat avatars. So generally, these are the Vishnu Tattva, like Anantashesha. So Anantashesha, his Shakti was Bhudharna Shakti, maintaining all the planet. And then there are indirect incarnations. Generally, these are jivas, like for example, Brahma. So Lord Brahma, he is also Guna Avtaras, and he also falls under the category of Shaktya Veshavtara. So Lord Brahma has the power to create. So he has the Srishti Shakti. Example, Parshuram. So Lord Parshuram, he had the Dushta Daman Shakti. He had the power to subdue the miscreants, especially the Kshatriyas. For Kumaras, they had the Jnana Shakti. Narad Muni, he has the Bhakti Shakti. Similarly, Maharaj Pṛthu, he is empowered with the opulence or power to protect the citizens, to rule over the earth, and to provide the maintenance of the earth. So his power is Praja Palan Shakti. Praja is the subject or citizens, and Palan is to protect. So Praja, it literally means those who have taken birth. So Praja doesn't just mean human beings, it includes everything that has taken birth. So these include animal, plants, insects, and everything. So the king is supposed to be the representative of the Lord to oversee these, the Praja, and he's also called sometimes Naradeva. Nar is the human, and Deva is the Lord, so Lord in human form. So, therefore, it is his duty to ensure that everyone in his kingdom is protected, has enough food to eat, there is no injustice, they are happy, and they are following the rules of Dharma, moving ahead on spiritual path. So, the citizens of his kingdom, they approached Pṛthu Maharaj and took the matter very seriously. And he took the matter very seriously, and he pondered over this matter for a long time. And to understand and realize something like the cause of a problem, it requires intelligence. So he thought about it, he considered the statements of the citizens, and he considered the problem. So he thought that the citizens, they were following the law of dharma, they were not committing any sinful activities, they were innocent. How is that they were hungry? How is it they were not being provided by Mother Earth? And uh, so he kept on thinking, and after thinking in this manner, he came to a conclusion that it is because of Mother Earth that they are suffering. So, why did he come to that conclusion? What made him come to that conclusion? So, we are going to briefly discuss about that. So, in this universe, according to the level of spiritual evolution and nature, Krishna engages his devotees in different capacities, not only in the human species on the earth planet, but also in the whole universe. Everything in the universe has a person behind it. Every planet has presiding demigod who is supposed to oversee the smooth functioning of the affairs on that planet. So if we talk about just human beings, like how sweet Krishna is, so this can be seen like how much Krishna loves us. So we can see that there is Vayudev, who is master of air, there is Yamaraj, who is superintendent of death, there is sun god, there is director of rainfall, there is Kuber, the treasurer, there is Agni Dev, there is Varuna. So according to the scriptures, it is described that even our senses, all our senses, they are predominated upon by demigods. So Krishna has assigned demigods to take care of our senses. He told Chandradev, the moon god, to take care of this person's mind. His mind may get distracted. So, this conditioned soul, I have given this body to him. Please make sure that his mind is in the right place. He has assigned Suryadev, the sun god, So it's like, please make sure that this living entity has good eyesight so that he can glance at the devotees, he can glance and read the Shastras. Similarly, Agni Dev, he is in charge of our throat. So Krishna has not given this work to any random unlearned person. No. So much personal love that Krishna has put demigods in the service of taking care of our senses, each one of us. So Krishna is the one who arranges jobs. He gives different abilities and talents so that we can make our living. So criminal in the world who is jailed is not cared for as much as Krishna cares for us while being in the prison of this world. So now if we think that's all Krishna is giving us, that's it. That's not too much. But it doesn't end there. After doing all of these things, after assigning all of these demigods in our service, Krishna thinks, what if all these demigods fail? So he himself sits as the super soul in the heart of every living entity. So this is Krishna, Jaya Jaya Kripa Sindhu Kamala Lochan. This is Krishna's Karuna, how much he loves us. Nobody loves us like Krishna does. So coming back to the chapter, similarly, the in charge of this planet, Mother Earth or Bhumi Devi or Prithvi Mata. So she's the in charge. She's called Mother because she nourishes all the living entity on this earth as her own children. She's very kindly supplying us with all the necessities of existence. So, like every planet has demigod in charge, so we have Mother Earth as the planet in charge. But when there is some disturbance, then the demigod is supposed to discharge the duties pertaining to that planet. And that demigod is answerable to the higher authorities. For example, so if you're working in a company and you're not doing the job you're supposed to do, and the company stops giving you salary, so they just stop giving you the salary, but still they're answerable to the higher authorities, be it the CEO or the trustees of the company. It depends. So similarly, if there is some disturbance, demigod, they can discharge their duties. However, they're still answerable to the higher authorities, that is the supreme personality of Godhead. So the supreme personality of Godhead, he sometimes have to intervene either directly or indirectly. So in this case, he's intervening through his Shaktaveshavtara, that is King Pṛthu, who has been given this job, uh, who has been given this specific job to, as I mentioned, to take care of his citizens and to rule the planet. Now, then, when King Pṛthu realizes and he thinks that it is Mother Earth, he comes to chastise her. But Mother Earth is also not ordinary living entity. As I said, that she's in charge of whole planet. She's very exalted personality and cannot be treated like ordinary human being. She's our mother, ultimately demigoddess, and has been given the opportunity by the Supreme Lord to see the to oversee the affairs of this planet. So we cannot, like we, as in now, we cannot go disrespecting Mother Earth means this. So if we disrespect her, it would mean disrespecting the Supreme Lord, because He is the one who has appointed her in charge. So, as in this case, if Mother Earth is being chastised by someone and she's afraid of him, as we read, that she was running, like she started running with fear and trembling. So, if she was afraid of someone, like she began to run, so, of course, it means that that person is even more exalted and is superior to her. So, as we discussed, that's the Shaktivish avatar of Vishnu. So, uh, yeah, talking about Mother Earth, so in Sati Yuga, food was automatically produced by Mother Earth without the citizens having to perform any endeavors. She used to be so happy that she would bountifully provide to the citizens who were, the citizens were very sattvic too. But as the time went by, Satyug to Treta, Dwapar, and then Kali Yuga, the sin and vice they were introduced into the people. For example, so in this case, as it is being said that she withheld the grains from the common people, as you all read. So it's like when child misbehaves, the parents they withhold things. Like if child is misbehaving over some food or a toy, the parent will take it for a while so that the children learn. So if they are misbehaving, so similarly, Mother Earth withholds when she feels the burden of the mischievous acts of her children. But Pṛthu Maharaj is talking about ordinary sinless people. He calls them, they are just innocent people who are just who are doing everything they need to do, who are following their dharma. So later in the chapter, rather next chapter, Mother Earth's point of view will be revealed, like why she actually beheld those grains. But as a Shakti avatar of the Lord, and as the king, Pṛthu Maharaj was duty bound to rectify the situation, and having analyzed who the culprit was, he went to punish her, apprehend her, and Mother Earth immediately understood that this was no ordinary king who was chasing her. So she fled in great fear, and Maharaj Pṛthu chased her. Talking about going through some of the purports quickly. So when Vidura was asking questions and talking to sage Maitreya, he mentioned that the great saintly Maharaj Pṛthu, he received knowledge from Sanat Kumar, and who was greatest Vedic scholar after receiving knowledge to be applied practically in his life. How did the saintly? So he asked this question. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about the authority, like how it is important to be genuine. For example, he mentions the four Vaishnav Sampradayas. One comes from Lord Brahma, one from Lakshmi Devi, one from Kumaras, headed by Sanat Kumara, and one from Lord Shiva. So he specifically mentions that this system of disciplic succession is still going on, but one who is serious about receiving transcendental Vedic knowledge must accept a guru or a spiritual master in one of these four disciplic succession. And if he does accept a mantra from outside the sampradaya, so the so-called mantra, it will not act in Kali Yuga. So there are we have seen that it has been going on since a while, that there are sampradayas that they come up without any authority, like even from the Prabhupada time, that was Ramakrishna, Ram, Falgu Bhagwan, and all these sampradayas, they come up and they pop up, and some of them, they are still there. Even in India, there are so many sampradayas. So Srila Prabhupada gives us very clear instruction that we have to accept a mantra from one of these sampradayas. These are authentic. And that's when the mantra in the Kali Yuga will act. Moving ahead, in text 6 to 7, there is this term called adokshara. So this means beyond the perception of the material senses. So no one can perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead by mental speculation. It's not that we read the verses and we think, oh, Krishna said this here, Krishna didn't say like that there. I mean, speculating it based on our level of understanding. So again, Srila Prabhupada is instructing us that no one can perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead by mental speculation. Therefore, a person with poor fund of knowledge cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since one can form only an impersonal idea on the strength of one's material senses, the Lord is known as Adokshara, beyond the perception of the material senses. So it is important to build the knowledge, like by reading scriptures, by hearing and Shravanam, Kirtanam, all of these things are important, because without knowledge, we will be inclined towards speculating based on our information, whatever information we have, which is again not complete. And yeah, okay. Moving forward, we did. And then here, Srila Prabhupada sweetly reminds us that how Krishna Katha, how they are so relishing, like how we relish them so much. And no matter how many times we talk about those, we never become exhausted. This is the nature of the spiritual talks. And when Sage Maitreya and Vidura were talking, Sage Maitreya, he was more inspired to talk about when King Vidura, he expressed his curiosity to know and his interest to know, and he did not feel disgusted by the questions Vidura asked. Rather, he felt encouraged to speak at greater length. So, moving forward, if anyone has anything to share at any point, please raise your hand. So we talked about how the citizens, they came to the king and how they shared like how they were suffering, and how King Pṛthu, he came to the conclusion that it was Mother Earth, and he took up his bow and arrow and aimed at the earth, and exactly like Lord Shiva, who destroys the world out of anger. So King Prithu, he was king, he was a Kshatriya in this case, and it was his duty to protect his praja. So he could not understand that he could understand that it was not people's fault. They were not lazy in executing their duties. Rather, Earth was not producing sufficient grains. This indicates that the Earth can produce sufficiently if, as I was mentioning, even in the Sati Yuga, uh, the Earth is very happy. So Srila Prabhupada, he talks about like sometimes the earth can refuse to produce food grains for various reasons. So talking about that, in one of the lectures, Bhakti Rasamrit Swami Maharaj, he talks about how there is a reciprocal relation between human beings and the demigods. So to maintain the prosperity, they please each other. So it's like he gave this example. It's like you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. So you have to do something to get something from them. You have to perform proper sacrifices to please the demigods, and that's when you'll get the results. So now the question is, who worship the Lord and who worship the demigod? So he gave this term, which I really like. So he said that those who have no material desires, or those who are aspiring to have no material desires, are the devotees of the Lord. I'll repeat. So those who have no material desires, or those who are aspiring to have no material desires, are the worshippers of the Lord. While demigods, it becomes the opposite. Those who have the material desires. So he gave this example: the person who is going to a liquor shop, you cannot say he's the worshipper of Lord, because he has some material desires. He is going inside to get something out of that, like to go in that zone of that liquor zone and whatever it is. So this is the thing he said. And for as I said, that there is a reciprocal relation between demigod and the human beings. So, for example, if we talk about the Bhumi Devi, so what is the duty of earth that is mentioned here? So, earth should receive rainwater from the sky, and earth should produce grains and fruits. This is what is expected. So, Radhesham Prabhu, he mentions this cycle, which is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So, rainwater is like ahuti for Bhumi, and then Bhumi produces grains after that. So those grains, they become ahuti for a man who is living on the earth. When he eats those grains, he produces semen. The semen becomes ahuti for a woman's yoni, and then the man offers and performs yagya. The child is born. That child, he follows the path of father, and because of this, the man is elevated to heaven, and he enjoys punya for a long time. So that jiva, he becomes ahuti for the clouds, and when the punya is spent, all his punya is spent in the heaven, he becomes ahuti for clouds, and then he comes down again through rain. So this cycle continues, the rain, ahuti, and like this is how it is being continued. Like you are giving something to the demigods, and demigods are giving something to you in return. While us, who are the worshippers of the Lord, we are dependent completely for everything on the Lord. And as it is mentioned, as Mahaprabhu mentioned, that in the Kali Yuga, Sankirtan Yagya is the highest form of yagya in this. So coming back, so why Pṛthu Maharaj got angry? So this brings us to the topic of prescribed duties. Like everyone should do their duties properly. Like Prabhupada, he mentions in Ajamil, one of the purports of Ajamil's pastime, that husband should be protective, wife should be chaste, children should be grateful. So if one of these is not performing their duties properly, for example, the husband, he should be protective, but if he is drunkard, he won't be able to protect his wife and children. Wife should be chaste. So he gave that example that is provided in 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, that it is like lightning between the clouds. Wherever she sees lightning, if she goes here and there, that's unchaste behavior, and that would destroy the entire family as well. And then the children should be grateful. If the children are thankless and they're like, oh, you're doing this for me, you do this, you have to do this, you're obliged to do this, again, that is not very good. So everyone should perform their prescribed duties properly. So when he saw that Mother Earth was accepting the yajna and accepting the results and fruits of the yajna, and still she wasn't acting, she wasn't giving the grains, that's when he became really angry, and that's when he began to chase her. So there is one thing, yes. So just as a man cannot escape the cruel hands of death, the cow-shaped earth could not escape the hands of son of Vena. At the length, at length, the earth fearful, her heart aggrieved, turned back in helplessness. So that's when she called out the Lord, please save me. You're protector of the living entities, and now you're situated as king of the planet. So now the question arises that she finally surrendered. But surrender is only possible when one is feeling helpless. So one has to feel helpless to feel surrendered. She tried everything she could do. She ran everywhere she could go between the heavenly planets and Earth. But when she saw that nothing was working, that's when she finally thought, okay, then she turned to the Lord. So as long this is with us as well, as long we are in the illusion that everything is fine, and we can take care of our own problems, and that we can find the solutions of the miseries of our own existence merely through our own intellect and abilities, that's when, like, we'll never be able to surrender any form of pride, like I can do this, I can solve this by myself, I can wake up tomorrow, go to work. We think that we are the controller, so any form of pride, it goes against the principle of surrender. Therefore, Krishna has put us in this situation of fear and miseries, which is why this material world is a place of suffering. Dukhalayam ashashvatam. Dukhalayam, it is a board of misery, and ashashvatam, where everything is temporary. If there is no suffering and everything were temporary, do you think anyone would be inclined to surrender to the Lord? No.
Can
No
you
one,
repeat that,
right?
Ron?
Like, even with so much suffering and everything being temporary, we are still unable to surrender to the Lord completely. There is no point in thinking about, like, if I would have everything, every luxury, every opulence, everything, and everything would be permanent, I won't remember God. So Bhakti Rasamrit Swami Maharaj, he mentioned this verse from the bhajan, Bhaviya dekhinu ehi jagat sansare, toma bin keho nahi eda se udare. This is from Hariye Dayal Mora. So in this, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that I have analyzed this whole world and there is no other shelter apart from you. So conclusion of knowledge and perfect analysis is the surrender to the Supreme Lord. So this is also mentioned, like Kunti Maharani in her prayers, she says that unless one is devoid of the material opulences, which she lists, which there are four opulences that she mentions in these prayers. So unless one is devoid of the material opulences, it is not possible to be helpless. If we read this translation, my Lord, your worship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted, one who is on the path of material progress, one trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, two great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty cannot approach you with sincere feeling. So it is important to be in that helpless feeling, and one imagines themselves to be anything other than eternal servant of the Lord, anything other than eternal particle, that is the 1/10,000th tip of a hair. One is mad, madha, edhamana madha puman. So this pride is a form of madness, that I'm this, I'm that, I can do this, I'm the controller. So that's why, so when we are put into helpless positions, that is actually the mercy of Krishna upon us. But so my question for you is, if anyone can answer, you can type in the chat if you want. So even if, like, for example, even if I am put into this helpless position, is the helpless position itself sufficient to make me surrender to Krishna? Yes, Prabhuji.
So helpless situation can act as a catalyst, I would say, right? But
Yes,
that
Prabhuji.
alone is not enough, because you see there are so many people in the world who are put into helpless situations, but not all of them take to spiritual life or leave alone bhakti, right?
Yes,
So I
Prabhuji.
guess, yeah, they can act as a catalyst, but it is not uh, the I mean, it's not sufficient. What is that? Necessary but not sufficient. They write now in theorems. Necessary but sufficient condition, something like that. I don't remember now, but anyway, yeah, it can act as catalyst, but not that can't be the sole reason. So,
Yeah, good point, Prabhuji. Krishnan Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Mataji, excellent class so far. I think helpless situations, as Jagannath Gopal Prabhu said, they do help because, but most of the time, at least for me, what happens is, even though I'm in a helpless situation, I look for material solutions to the helpless situations, and I think the level of surrender is not there, and so it is. It sometimes seems like it's only in the critical situations that um, I think that there will be some magic that will happen. And of course, for some reasons, I do ask devotees to pray, or like the Narasimha Kavacham or something like that, if there's a health issue. But um, but I still go to to the doctors, and I hope for a miracle, which is not realistic. But sometimes I do I do that. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, Mataji.
Thank you so much for amazing points. So, reading from the chat, so ECP says one should have at least little faith, I feel. So, regarding faith, I have a question. I have a follow up question for that. Even the atheists, they have the faith that God doesn't exist. So, when you say that they should have a little faith to surrender, so can you expand on that?
I have to think about it.
Okay.
I wrote those things in the chat. So I cannot just speak out speak
Oh,
out.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, even I don't have, because somebody, even when I was listening to the lecture, somebody said the exact thing about faith. And this is what Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj said. He said that even the atheists have the faith. So how would you
Great
go
point,
with
actually.
that?
Great.
Yeah,
I didn't get that. Atheists have faith that God doesn't exist. So
yeah. So Prabhuji, even the faith isn't sufficient enough. Like you cannot say that I have faith and that would make me surrender.
Mm.
So you need devotional piety. This is what Maharaj said. Like to surrender, ultimately you need devotional piety. So he talks about now, lastly, like in the chat, in the question answer session, somebody asked him that mother, she surrendered, like as Krishna Prabhu, he touched upon this, that we also tend to surrender when we see nothing, there is no other option. Similarly, we have tendency to see all our options, to see what we can do, and we wait our options to get exhausted, and that's when we think of taking surrender. So the person asked him, like, what will it take us to surrender without waiting to exhaust our possible options? So does anyone have anything upon that? Like, what is it that will finally, like, put it in our head that we do not have to wait for the ultimate situation or ultimate pain or ultimate suffering to stop to stop looking for more options and to ultimately surrender to the Lord before those things they come upon us. I'll address Manan Prabhu's comment because I have more on that. It's a very wonderful point you made, Roji, that everyone is already in a helpless situation and it is the awareness of our helplessness that is often missing. Yeah, I'll address that. I have more upon that. So for now, but does anyone has like anything to say about it? Like, what will it take us? Association of devotees. Yes, Prabhuji. So Krishna Prabhu, is your hand like, did you raise your hand recently or is it from before?
Oh, it's from before. I'll lower it.
Okay. Okay. So I can repeat what Maharaj said. So Maharaj said that point is we already have exhausted all our options. So when I asked you this question, like we might start, when I heard this question, I started to think about any particular problem, and I started to think about the options I had. Like even in lab, like I started to troubleshoot. But this is a very big picture question if we think about it. Like when Maharaj started to answer, that's when I could think like how broad this thing is. Like we have already exhausted our options. We are chewing the chewed. We are coming into the same life. We are coming taking different bodies. We have tried again and again. We have failed every time. That's why we are still here. And there is one famous line from a poet. He says, "Hope lies eternal in human breath." So we always keep hoping for options, that there will be something. We always keep looking for options. Krishna Prabhu mentioned about hope. So this is what Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj also mentioned. Like we keep on looking for options, and this is called Maya. Hoping against the hope despite knowing that there is no hope. That's Maya. So we need spiritual knowledge, as Prabhupada was mentioning in one of his purports right now, that the poor fund of knowledge, it inclines our, it pushes us towards mental speculation and all of these things and drowning more into the ocean of Maya and this material world. So we need to gain more spiritual knowledge, and we have to be more sincere towards our devotional practice. So it is the devotional piety that we need to build slow by slow to be able to surrender to the Lord without waiting for sufferings and pains and all those things. So as is where is, which means whatever conditions we are in right now, we must surrender to Krishna. We should at least try to. Like I'm speaking, and I know that I myself am incapable of doing that. So, but we should keep trying to take the shelter of the Lord. And then coming back to Mother Earth and who's being chased by King Pṛthu. So that even that thing is not very different from the situation we are in right now. As Manan Prabhu said, everyone is already in helpless situation. So like Mother Earth, we are also being chased. Like she's being chased by King Pṛthu with a bow and arrow who is ready to kill her. This is our position too. Like we also have something that is chasing to kill us. Can anyone tell what is that? You can just unmute and speak.
Yeah, I was, I think you mentioned, I don't have a specific answer for your question, but I was trying to respond to something that you said just before, which is, you said that we need to have knowledge, and
Yes,
and even knowledge is not sufficient, is what I feel, because I have this academic knowledge that my constitutional position is that of being an eternal servant of the Lord, but it's the realized knowledge which is needed, which is a deeper, where the knowledge becomes a realization of the jnana and vijnana, and I think that awakening is what is hard to get, and that is why I feel that we run after any solution, but we keep the Lord to be only the last.
Yes, Prabhuji. Excellent point, Prabhuji. That realized knowledge is far more important than having just mere knowledge. Realizing
Yeah.
that knowledge and bringing it to our practice, bringing it to the situations we are in.
Yes, yes. But you asked one more question. I just now, which I apologize. Do you
Yes, yes.
remember what?
So the
Yeah.
question is, Prabhuji, like Mother Earth is being chased by King Pṛthu with a bow and arrow, who is ready to kill her. We are also being chased by something that is ready to kill us. So what is it?
Everything like Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. We have this. We are also
Yes.
being chased by that.
Yes, Prabhuji. So Manan Prabhu, he mentioned in the chat time. So that's very true. Like, as you said, everything is like chasing us. So basically, time is chasing us, and time is also expansion of Krishna's energy only. And taking this example, we must also surrender like Mother Earth. Like Mother Earth is appealing to Mahārāja Pṛthu and finally surrendering to him. Similarly, we should also know that we are running out of time and it's just coming close day by day. So yeah, we should surrender like that. Does anyone have anything to add? Okay, moving on. So yeah, starting from this text, so she tells the Lord, she tells King Pṛthu that, please save me. You are the protector of all living entities, and now you are situated as the king of the planet. So when she is talking about this, she calls him Dharmagya. So Dharmagya is the knower of religious principles. So yeah. So the cow-shaped earth addressed King Pṛthu as Dharmagya, which refers to the one who knows the principle of religion. And the principle of religion, it dictates that a woman, cow, child, brahmana, and an old man must be given all protection by the king or anyone else. Consequently, Mother Earth took the shape of a cow. She was also a woman, so now she has double protection. She was a cow, she took the shape of a cow, and she was already a woman, so she has double protection according to the Dharmagya, the principle of religion. So, thus, she appealed to the king as one who knows the principle of religion. Religious principles, they also dictate that one is not to be killed if he surrenders. So, she reminded to King Pṛthu that not only he was an incarnation of God, but he was situated as the king of the earth as well. Therefore, his duty was to excuse her. So, as I said, that now she had the double protection from the Lord. And in the same verse, so she also talks about the second quality of the Lord, where she says Apan Vatsala. So Apan Vatsala, so she says Dharmagya, first ability, and the second one she says Apan Vatsala, which is O shelter of the surrendered. So Vatsala is again the quality of Krishna being very affectionate to those who surrender to him or those who are devoted to him. So Vatsala is like cow is affectionate to her calf. So Mother Earth is reminding Krishna that you have both these qualities. And then she also says Bhutanam Palane, which is protector of all living entities. So this is here, Bhutanam Palane Avastito Bhavan. So this is how Mother Earth is looking at King Pṛthu, that you are meant to protect all living entities, and therefore you must protect me as well. So this is a plea that Mother Earth places before King Pṛthu, and helplessly she surrenders to him. But even after all of this, even when she says this, King Pṛthu is still angry, and he's not ready to give up on his anger. So now question arises, he is still not ready to give up on his anger. Does it mean that he was not a dharmagya? He's not knower of religious principle? That she mentioned that she has taken form of a cow and a woman, and the person who knows these religious principles should not kill these. So now the question arises, so is he like not giving up on his anger, does it make him not a knower of religious principles? You can just unmute if anyone has anything to say. Okay, so anyone? Sorry.
Depends on why the anger is, right? And that will decide.
Yes, Pṛthu.
Yeah.
So based on the so the anger is because citizens were hungry and Mother Earth, she didn't do her prescribed duties properly, which will be revealed later that why she didn't do those. But
Yeah.
based on whatever we have read so far, that she surrendered and she tried to say things like she tried to express that she tried to remind him about his qualities, his abilities. So, but he was still angry. So does it mean that he's not knower of religious principles?
But he is angry for a good reason, right?
Yeah. But still he's ready to kill a cow or a woman. Like she is both.
But he's also an incarnation of Lord, and he is responsible for taking care of his people. So
I mean, in one of the verses he says, right? He says something like, it's okay that you are appearing as a cow, but that is not enough of a reason for me to spare you. Something to that effect, he says.
Yeah.
And she surrendering to him is not his solution, right? The solution for his problem here. The solution for his problem is that there should be food again for his praja.
right, his anger was not selfish. It was just because he wanted to protect and help his praja, I feel.
Yeah.
It's righteous anger.
Yes. Yeah, wonderful points. So talking about like killing women or killing cow in particular, so can any one of you remember, like, can any one of you name any demons who took the form of cow or bull or calf in Krishna Leela from Vrindavan?
Oh.
Like, were there any demons who took the form of any of these cow, bull, or calf that Krishna has killed before?
That one demon, he took the form of a bull and he kills. I mean, that whole story of Radha Kund.
Yes.
Radha Kund story.
Arishtasur. Yeah. Yes, perfecto. Sundari Sagi Mataji, bro, and Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. Yeah. So Arishtasur, and there was one more, Vatsasur. He took the form of cow. The calf. So soon after, when Nand Maharaj and villagers of Braj, they were shifting from Gokul to Vrindavan. So that's when Vatsasur came in and he mingled among the other calves. And Krishna killed Vatsasur, and Krishna also killed Arishtasur. And it is after killing Arishtasur that a very important pastime took place. So that was the formation of Shamakund and Radhakund. So killing of bull, like as the question was raised that in the lecture that I was listening, that does it make him dharmagya or not? So in this case, like for example, in this case, killing of bull, it led to formation of two most holy places, which are considered as the eyes of Vrindavan. So similarly, it doesn't decide, as you both were saying, that it doesn't make it doesn't, like it's his duty as a king. So it doesn't make him not a dharmagya or not knower. So he's angry, and he's angry because she accepted. So as I was talking like initially, that the relation between demigods and human beings is reciprocal. So if they are doing everything, if they are doing yajna, and if they are offering, if they are doing everything like the way it should be done, Still, Mother Earth was not delivering the seeds. That's why the anger was coming. That's why King Pṛthu was angry that they are doing everything properly. They are doing everything that is required to be done. Still, you're not giving them. You're hiding the seeds, and that's why he was angry. So, reading from Prabhupada's purport now. Yeah, so he answered. So this was very interesting. So she mentioned, like, Mother Earth, she mentions that if you kill me, if you cut me to pieces, where will, she says something like that, where will your, or how will you maintain, or how will they stand, how can you protect yourself and your subjects from drowning? So King Pṛthu, he answers this, and he very nicely answers this, that she doesn't need to worry because he is the protector. He is the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. He possessed the power of Sankarshana, which is explained by the scientists as the power of gravitation. So he's holding millions of planets in space, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without any support. So Pṛthu Mahārāja, he would not have any difficulty supporting all his citizens and himself in space without the help of planet Earth. And he's known as Yogeshwara, the master of all mystic powers. Consequently, the planet Earth was informed by the king that she need not to worry about his standing without her help. And then he was standing like exactly like Yamaraj. So Supreme Personality of Godhead himself is death personified to miscreants and Supreme Beloved, Lord to the devotees. So in Bhagavad Gita, it's Mrityu Sarva Haraschaham. I'm all devouring death. So the faithless, the unbelievers who challenge the appearance of God will be delivered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Example, Narsingh Dev was there. And yeah, in this, she also mentions about how material energy, how he is indifferent and yet detached from, different from his material energy. So this is a long purport where Prabhupada is talking about how the Lord is present in both material and spiritual energies, and how he's still indifferent and yet different from the material energy, but he's situated in both of those. So this is very beautiful purport, and it is emphasizing how we should not think anything like it talks about vibhutis and everything. And I read one thing about, yep. So as far as the material body is concerned, there are 6 waves or symptomatic material conditions: hunger, thirst, lamentation, bewilderment, old age, and death. And the liberated soul is never concerned with these physical interactions. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being all powerful masters of energies, all energies has some connection with external energy, but he is always free from the interactions of the external energy in the material world. So it is like he says here that a devotee is not hampered by the material body. Although he is situated in a physical body that runs according to material conditions, still the devotee is like, we have, like, at some stage the devotees of the Lord, they come into realization that they are not this material body, they are the spiritual body. I'm still not at that level. I'm still very much engrossed in my body, like, but this particular purport is a reminder of how everything is related to Krishna himself, and how we need to differentiate ourselves from the material being and the spiritual being. So quickly covering the rest of the purports. If anyone has to add, if anyone has anything to add at any point, please unmute yourself or write in the chat. So then Mother Earth, she starts. Yes, Manan Prabhu.
So I have a question. The one thing I'm confused by over here is the reason Pṛthu Mahārāja is angry with Mother Earth is because he says that all the sacrifices are being done, the citizens are very nicely doing their duties, but you are withholding on your part. And
Yes.
in the next chapter, Mother Earth says that the reason she is withholding is because people are sinful, and and they are exploiting what she's producing, and that's why she's holding back. So I'm confused. What it seems, on the one hand, what were people doing their duties, and if they were doing, why was Mother Earth holding back? And if they were not doing their duties, then why is Pṛthu Maharaj getting angry?
I think, Prabhuji, we'll be discussing this in the next chapter. So far, as much as I have heard, like I'm yet to read the next chapter. I'm honestly, I'm reading this whole pastime for the first time. I just heard it in brief by Jagannath Gopal Prabhu back in India last year. So as far as like so far what I have heard from, I think this was from Radhesham Prabhu. So he mentions that like apart from this pastime as well, it's mentioned in, I think, Kunti Maharani's prayers, that Mother Earth, she goes to Lord Brahma and she says that I cannot lift the burden of this planet. I cannot take the burden of this planet anymore. So Lord Brahma asks her that you are holding the Meru Parvat and the oceans are on you. How come you are saying that you cannot handle the burden of the planet of mere humans? So she talks about the atheist, those who are using everything produced by the nature, by like how she's nourishing, but they're still like that there is not, like they're so thankless and so cruel that they do not believe in Lord and all of those things. So it is those people who are committing sins and who are acting according to their whimsical nature, according to the whims of the mind. Based on those, she is like just holding back her giving her grains, so she feels the burdens of those atheists. So this is what I know. I could be wrong or incomplete, like what I said. So if anyone has anything to add or complete the answer, please go ahead.
So my understanding was because Vena was the king, and he basically was not a good king. That's why she was holding back. But I might be totally wrong here. Which verse is that, Prabhu, in the 18th chapter?
Verses 6 and 7.
Okay. Being used by non-devotees who are devoid of all spiritual. Interesting. Yeah.
So it's either of two things. So either people were devoted and they were doing things, doing the sacrifices properly, or they were not. If they are doing properly, then I don't understand why Earth is holding back, because the second chapter seems to contradict that. And if they're not doing properly, then the question is, why is Pṛthu Maharaj getting angry? Because his anger is everyone is doing properly and not. So I think when you take the two chapters together, there's something subtle here, which I think I'm missing.
VCP or Manu Mataji?
Amazing question, Prabhuji. Amazing question. I don't know. I have very little knowledge about this. I might be saying some random things, but I don't know. Many things are coming on my mind right now. That Pṛthu Maharaj was angry, but I think his anger was mainly driven by the responsibility which he had to protect his praja, and I feel that he also understood Bhumi Devi's reasons, but he also knew that his duty was to ensure that people or praja are getting enough things for survival. So I think his actions were not about ignoring Bhumi Devi's concerns, but it was about like it was about like finding a solution or a win-win situation or the well-being of everyone. I don't know. I might be wrong. Am I making sense?
Yes. Yes.
It could also be that there are both kinds of people in the praja. There are devotees also, as well as there are
Right.
non-devotees. And Pṛthu Maharaj it's his duty to, first of all, at least for the dharmic people, make sure everything is good. But then Earth is saying that no, the adharmic people are messing it up. That's why I won't give. Maybe,
Mm,
but we can.
Yeah. So as long as we're guessing, I can make a conjecture. I'm not sure this is the reason. I love to see if we can find some validation. So the one way I understand this is that for a long time there was a lot of oppression with Vena, and there were a lot of sinful activities going on, a lot of godlessness and exploitation, and therefore Earth began to hoard opulences and not share it. And it's kind of like, when you're going through a trauma, you become just choked up or constipated. You cannot release even when things become normalized. So after King Pṛthu, people were starting to cooperate, things were getting better, but Earth was still not releasing, because for so long she's been exploited so much that she's not able to release. And it required some catalyst to get things back to normal. And in the next chapter, she says, you should bring a calf, which will, and then when there's a calf, there's a loving instigation that will allow me to release the milk and release the all that's required. So there's a proper calf and proper patra, then I can release. I still don't understand the anger part very much. I think there is something else. There's something deeper in King Pṛthu's anger, because the chapter itself is named his anger at the earth. So there must be something important about that.
Yeah, your point makes a lot of sense when we think of Mother Earth as a person, because if we think of it as a transaction, like you give, we give, you give, then that kind of takes out the personality behind it. But when you add a person, it's like you're choked to such an extent that you don't want to open up anymore, right?
Yeah, or you cannot. You need
Yeah.
some very loving thing to really make you feel sheltered, that you can start reciprocating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
But
like
we
this
can
analogy.
bring this up with someone, some senior devotee, and ask about this apparent contradiction. Sorry, go ahead, Mahārāja.
Sorry, Bhumi. So one thing I know for sure, like based on the lectures I have heard, like that it wasn't people's, like ordinary people, the citizens' fault that they were doing their yagyas and everything. So the second part, I feel that yes, these two chapters, they are very much related, and to have the complete answer of why he was angry and how Mother Earth justified or gave her POV point of view, it's important to take these chapters together. So we'll know more in details in the next chapter, because even in the lectures I was hearing, so in those lectures as well, they were talking about why, like her point of view as well. So I like the analogy that Manan Prabhu put in, like how we hold things, even us, like we hold things, we suppress those emotions, and one time we burst and we need something to channelize those emotions. So in this case, it's Pṛthu Maharaj. Like she held those grains, and she knew. I don't know. This is speculation again, which shouldn't be there. That she might have known that she could be responsible to higher authority, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She would be answerable to him if she does that. So she might be knowing that. So again, that's a speculation, and we'll be knowing more in the next chapter. But definitely there are lectures, like even the lecture I was listening, the Radhesham Prabhu's lecture, it had the answers, but I skipped that part because I knew that would be discussed in next chapter. So I heard most of the things that were related to this chapter. So yeah, I can share that lecture in the Life of Devotion group. It's an amazing lecture. And he talks
Or
about,
we have to join,
yeah.
or we have to join next week to find out.
Yes, that's more better. Yeah, we are over time. I'll just end with one thing which I loved and read for the first time. Like I didn't know about this bhajan. So here he says that Srila Prabhupada mentions about the bhajan that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj has sang and written, that my dear Lord, whatever I have, even my mind, the center of all material necessities, namely my home, my body, and whatever I have in connection with this body, I now surrender unto you. You are now completely independent to act however you like. If you like, you can kill me, and if you like, you can save me. In any case, I'm your eternal servant, and you have every right to do whatsoever, to whatever you like. So I've had heard these lines from Maharaj, and I didn't know which bhajan this was. So I ended up on searching up, and this is the bhajan. And thank you, Sundari Sakhi Mataji, for joining. Manishika Mataji, can you quickly sing this for us? Just 2 lines. Like these two and the first verse.
First Manas Deo Gyo, then Maro Virako.
Yeah. Yes.
मानस देहो के हो जो किछु मोर अर्पिलु तो आपदे नंद किशोर मारो बिराखो भी जो इच्छा तोहार नित्य दास प्रति तुवा अधिकार मानस देहो के हो जो किछु मोर अर्पिलु तुवा पदे नंद किशोर. Yes.
Thank you very, very much. And yeah, so I'll share this on the group. So it has very beautiful translation as well. So as we read, like mind, body, and family, whatever may be mine, I have surrendered at your lotus feet, O youthful son of Nanda. And the third one she sang, that was slay me or protect me as you wish, for you are the master of your eternal servant. With this, thank you so much, all of you, for joining and listening patiently. Thank you for participating in the discussions and adding so valuable insights to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma, for so nicely preparing and leading the discussion. Very nice, thoughtful. I love the way you visualize things. It becomes very clear, like the way you initially explained all the avtaras and such nice pictures, and how you came to the crux of the pastime where Pṛthu Maharaj is getting angry, and how you posed the relevant questions for everyone to ponder upon. So yeah, thank you very much for that really nourishing discussion for all of us.
Happy birthday, Kitu.
I completely forgot this.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, let's send our prayers for baby Pṛthu, that he
Yes.
grows up and becomes wonderful devotees like his parents.
Yes.
So amazing. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for bringing Pṛthu to our lives.
Thank you for giving him a family. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Last and not the least, please sign up, because upcoming pastimes are really, really sweet pastimes. So if you can, please do sign up on the Excel sheet that Jagannath Gopal Prabhu has posted on the group. Yes, thank you.
There is still more after instructions by Maharaj Pṛthu. I haven't put that on the slides, but I mean on the sheet, but I'll put it. Yeah. But yeah, thank you. I was actually going to say that, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, for encouraging everyone to sign. Yeah, please sign up, dear devotees. It's a good experience reading the purports and pondering over them.
Thank you so much. So, Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhaya Vacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very well.